Hi, it's Darren from ProBlogger here. Today I want to introduce you to someone who has quite literally transformed my business over the last year or so, the Web Marketing Ninja. It sounds like a kind of a gimmicky name in some ways, but he has his reasons for being anonymous. But this guy, the Web Marketing Ninja, has quite literally added zeros to the revenue coming in from my blogs over the last few years. You see, my blogs over the last 9 years have grown from being something that was purely a hobby with no intention of making money to being a part-time job, to being a full-time job, and then becoming a business. And it's sort of evolved in that time, and whilst it's become increasingly profitable, I've also become increasingly aware that the way that I've structured it and the way that I've set things up has kind of become a bit messy over the years. So a year or so ago I began to sit down with the Web Marketing Ninja just to talk strategically and to think about particularly areas of marketing, the products that we're creating, the ebooks that we're creating, and to do it properly, almost like getting an architect in to design it from the ground up rather than just letting it evolve. And it's just been amazing to hear the insights that he's brought. He has experience in a variety of business settings, and the insight that he's brought to me has been invaluable. And he's been sharing some of those strategies on ProBlogger, the blog, in guest posts, but recently I challenged him to try and put it all down, his whole approach to turning a blog into a business. And so he went away and he's created this amazing mind map that he's going to share with you in the rest of this video. And it's really, I guess, his system, and I hesitate to use the word system because it kind of makes you think if you follow it, you're guaranteed success. But it's more the blueprint, it's more the approach that he has to building a business out of a blog. It's not going to guarantee anything, you've got to apply it yourself, but it gives you a skeleton, it gives you an outline of some of the things that I think most bloggers who want to become a business need to think through. He gives you some great questions to ask yourself, 3 questions at the start of this video to ask yourself before you start thinking about yourself as a business. He also suggests 3 pillars of successful online businesses. But this mind map itself has many components and it has lots of nuggets for you. The video goes for 30 minutes. So grab a cup of coffee, grab a piece of paper or something to write with because you're going to want to take notes through this. And you'll probably want to download the video too and save it for later because there's a whole heap of stuff in this that you'll probably want to come back to again and again. So I hope you enjoy the Web Marketing Ninja's mind map. It certainly has brought a lot of life to my business, and I hope it does to yours too.
Hi there, it's the Ninja here from ProBlogger, and thanks for tuning in. Look, before I did get started, I just wanted to give you a bit of context behind this presentation. You see, I caught up with Darren a couple of weeks ago and we were talking new products, upcoming launches, campaign ideas, all the juicy stuff we tend to cover. And at the end, he issued me a bit of a challenge. He asked me to come up with a bit of a mind map of all the things I help him and other bloggers with in terms of helping them build more profitable blogs, with the idea that he'd be able to share that all with you. And given I'm a bit of a sucker for a challenge, I thought I'd give it a go. But I did want to say first and up front that I'm not your super slick presenter that you're probably used to with Darren. I tend to say way too many times, and my monotonal voice, whilst might be soothing for some, might be sleep-inducing for others. So I do ask that you bear with me. Hopefully you can get something, and you do get something from this presentation. Even if it's just one or two nuggets of information that you can take away and hopefully use on your own blog. So for those that have read some of my posts on ProBlogger, and I know there are a few, are wondering who is the Ninja. And look, I do really encourage you to make up your own mind in terms of how you see the credibility of my approach. But I did want to share, I guess, some of my background to help you, help give you a bit of perspective in terms of where I'm coming from. So I've been, working on the web for almost a decade, really helping people build profitable online businesses. And I'm talking here about, large online businesses that are making, over $1 million profit every year on year. I have done some time with corporates as well, really helping them, shape, plan, and enter the online space as only corporates can. But I've also worked quite closely with Darren and others in terms of helping them, transform their blog into a much more sustainable and long-term business. I did do a bit of a calculation in terms of the amount of money I've helped businesses generate online, and very quickly did I get over the tens of millions of dollars. So we're talking here about legitimate, significant income derived directly from the web. But I guess what's most important to me is I've done this over the years without resorting to what I call cheap tricks. I'm all about marketing for the long term and avoiding your get in, cash in, get out, hopefully before you get caught approach to marketing. I'm more about building real businesses who really care about the impact that what they do has with their audience, as much as how many zeros it might put on their bank account. And yes, I guess you've probably picked this already. Just like Darren, I am Australian. So I wanted to start this presentation really exploring something that was shared with me early in my career, and it was shared by a guy who's a lot smarter than me, and it was his 3 pillars that really drove the way he approached building an online business. And the first pillar is the attraction stage. So it's generating an audience and eyeballs looking at what it is you're doing online. The second pillar is engagement and really connecting with that audience at a much deeper, more emotional level. And the third is where it all gets real and the all important transaction phase where you turn all that hard work in pillars 1 and 2 into something a little bit more meaningful. Now, the reason I just love working with bloggers is because you guys are just awesome at number 1. You've got that sewn up just by the very nature of what you do. You can build an audience, pretty much with your eyes closed, and that's, in all honesty, no easy feat. A lot of the businesses who are getting online for the first time really struggle with that attraction phase of doing business on the web. I think sometimes that bloggers really underestimate just how good they are at something that can be quite difficult. The next is engagement, and some bloggers are good at that and others aren't. And what's interesting is that when you've got a transaction in mind, sometimes your approach to engagement may be different to how you go about that today. And look, we'll explore that a little bit through the rest of the presentation. But really, as bloggers, having that first pillar sewn up and pushing and doing quite well in that engagement pillar as well, it enables me to really focus on that transaction level, and I'm supremely confident that the complexities of attraction and engagement, if you guys have got that sewn up, then really there should be nothing stopping you really being exceptional at that transactional stage, and really helping transform your blog into a business and really deriving an income from doing what it is you love. So I'm going to leap here into my mind map in response to Darren's challenge, and look, it's going to probably feel initially a little bit complex. There's quite a lot in there, and it might feel a little bit scattered, but rest assured, I will take you through it piece by piece. So I'll break it down and hopefully, give you an understanding as to the approach I take when helping bloggers, build a successful business. So I'm going to imagine you now asking me the question that pretty much every blogger I run into asks in one way or another, and that's, you see, Ninja, I've got this blog and the traffic's going great, but it's just not making any money. Have you got any ideas? And look, I always do, but my first response is exactly the same for everyone. I ask 3 simple questions. Can you tell me what your blog stands for? And what problems it solves for people? And how do you solve them? And in all honestly, 99 times out of 100, I might get a blank look, and the other time I get maybe 1 to 2 answers, which at best are quite shallow and off cuff. But what I do know from my own experiences is successful businesses online can answer at a very deep level very quickly these 3 questions, and it's important that you put yourself into a position where you can very much, recite a meaningful, specific answer to these very questions. And hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll be able to go away, have a think about it, and come up, or at least start thinking about how you might go about answering some of these questions. So let's jump into the mind map now, and as you can see, it's very busy and a bit scattered, but that's okay. So this is very much what goes through my mind when I first start working with a blogger, in terms of looking for what some of the opportunities might be to help make that transformation from blog really into business. And I categorize everything, all the activities into 3 main groups, and that's first looking at who you are. Second to that, it's looking at what you do, and the third is how you do it. And I use the analogy here of people. So, the person that we are drives what we do, which will then drive how we do it. And I see blogs as no different. And it's really important that you do both be active in all 3, but also take a moment to stop and think about what may sit under the surface of all that. So let's start at looking at who you are, and it really all starts by starting to think about branding. And one of the first challenges for a blogger is actually to admit that yes, you do have a brand, and even if you're blogging under your own personal name, sharing your own personal experience, you are building a brand for yourself. And the unfortunate thing about branding is, if you don't care about your brand, then either your readers, or worse, your competition will start building that brand for you. So it's important to be mindful and considerate about what your brand is. And when it comes to branding, it's really twofold. So it's understanding how you perceive yourself, but also how others perceive you. And it can be quite surprising and sometimes confronting about how disparate that difference can be. But importantly, as you drive to shape your brand, it's ensuring that there is good overlap between how you perceive yourself and how others perceive you. And when I'm talking brand, I'm talking about a number of things, and some of the attributes that make up a brand can include your brand's personality. What values does your brand have? How does your brand interact with others? And what is the foundation and history and background of your brand? They're all attributes that you really need to understand, both first how you perceive yourself, and then conducting research and understanding how others perceive you. So it's important to really care and be focused on what is brand you. The first way I always start with branding is to really conduct a bit of a brand audit. So, rather than thinking about who you want to be or what your brand wants to be, to really sit back and just understand what your brand is now, and that can be done both how you see the brand, but also using research to understand how others do. From that, you can then use that information to really define what it is your brand aspires to be. And look, you might be very close to that now, or you might have some way to go. But it's very important to have a defined brand that you can always look to either honor or continue to build towards. The second part of understanding more about who you are is to look at your audience. And I do this in two main ways. The first is to really understand and appreciate that as a service provider, whether that's something very niche or something more generic, is you're in the business of solving problems for people. Those problems can be small, those problems can be large, and once you do understand that you are a problem solver in some form, it can really help shape what it is you do in the future. The second is to utilize personas. So for those that don't know, personas are a short synopsis of a typical either potential or existing reader or purchaser of something from your site. Even if just starting out and you don't really have an understanding of the types of customers types of visitors you might be receiving, do a best guess. Really, try to understand how it is they might find your blog. How they go about buying stuff online. What are the sorts of things they're buying? What are their interests? What's their time like? When are they likely to be reading your blog? Those sorts of things that really help you shape a more tangible picture, of the type of people reading your blog, rather than just looking at an analytics package and having a count of the number of unique visitors. It really enables you to make what it is you do a lot more real when you can put a picture of a character above your desk and be able to look at that and go, okay, that is who I'm trying to solve problems for. Then finally, it's looking at competition, and blogging can be an interesting world in that sometimes it's very not collusive, but very open and transparent, and whilst it's not about seeing your competitors as a threat. It is about understanding and knowing what it is they're up to right now, what it is that makes them great, what they may have on the radar, and what that enables you to do is come up with what it is your point of difference. So if you are either giving away information, insight on your blog, what is it that means someone is going to prefer to look at your blog than perhaps someone who's similar to you? And if you can't identify concisely what that point of difference is, then I really do encourage you to perhaps go away and think about your brand, revisit your audience and understand their problems and how they go about solving them, and then really work to then help shape and change the way you go about your blog to really give you that distinguishable point of difference. So now I want to move on to what it is you do, and look, it's very linked to who you are, as I mentioned, and again, it's the first there is a continuation of the brand piece as well. So once you have a definition of what your brand is, what its personality is, what its values are, how it interacts, it can very much help you shape ensuring that you are on brand, both with your visuals, with your aesthetics of your site, and your voice, whether that be through your blog posts or communication via email. Really ensuring that you are living to your brand's value. Once you do have that, it can also help shape your pitch as much as your point of difference, and your audience's problems will drive what it is you do. And two important activities around that is to develop, and I know Darren's spoken about this before, an elevator pitch for your blog. So if you are unsure what an elevator pitch is, it is a brief description of what it is your blog is all about, that you can share with someone in the time it will take to take a ride in an elevator. The second, though, I see is equally important, and that's the 3-second test. So, can someone visit your blog for the first time and within 3 seconds understand what it is you're about? And this goes beyond just the front page of your blog. If you're using mechanisms like search effectively to attract an audience to your blog, chances are that they're coming through to secondary pages of your blog. So you need to make sure that things like your content pages can show your readers within 3 seconds exactly what you're about. So once you've ensured that you're on brand, you've got your pitch all sorted, you can then really start to strategize and to plan for the future. I find it's again like brand a little bit confronting to a blogger to say, hey, we probably just need to take a step back here and look at where you're heading, what you're doing, where the opportunities might exist, and start putting some goals and some aspirations in place and really starting to work towards those. A lot of bloggers tend to start this blogging caper and then start to just sort of walk in the dark, and hopefully they'll end up in the place they wanted to, but perhaps they will and perhaps they won't, and a good way to increase the odds of that being successful is to really sit back and put a plan in place. I also I'm a strong advocate of what gets measured gets managed. So if you do have a strategy, I do encourage you to put measures in place and understand. It doesn't have to be a super complicated measurement, but really, what are the top 3, 4, maybe 5 things that really, help you understand and make sure that you're on track in terms of what your aspirations might be contained within your strategy. So from those measures, that really enables you to create a framework. So understanding what success looks like, across a timeline. So, where do you want your measures to be in 3 months' time? Where do you want them to be in 6 months' time? And even perhaps further out than that. So, from your pitch, derive your strategy, create some measures, and then build them into a framework for success. So once you've got your strategy, your measures, you're all ready to go. It's then starting to look at more specifics and what is going to be your product strategy or your monetization strategy. And it's really important you understand the different approaches you can take with that. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you are aware you've got revenue generation through affiliates, through advertising, through your own products, and I'm a staunch supporter of that's really when a blog can really start to transform into something a lot more special, is when you start to develop some of your own products. But once you're doing that, it's about doing effective planning of product development, and all important and often done unwell pricing of your product. So they're deeper considerations in terms of running your own product, but I do encourage you to think long and hard around if that's possible in your future as a blogger, because it is a surefire way to fast track your blog to success. And then finally, in terms of what you do, I've actually got I guess a step in there that should stop you doing what it is you do, and that's understanding when you need to stop marketing, and ensure you're doing what's right at the time. And a prime example of that is perhaps you're getting some bad coverage in the media, or you've got a couple of bad reviews of your product. You really need to stop pushing the marketing pitch and really take the considerate and perhaps customer-led approach to what you do at those points in time. It's also worth mentioning that when you're writing your content, really your number one product is to really not think as much as you can about marketing, and really don't allow that to dilute what it is that makes you great. So finally, I'm going to explore how you do things, and this is going into, I guess, more of a tactical level, and continuing with our brand, a brand starting point. So we have defined our brand, we're ensuring our on brand, and then we're tactically looking at our communication and ensuring that's maintaining that on brand component. And look, there are lots of ways you communicate as a blogger. I've included a couple there. So how you communicate socially, whether that be online or off, how you communicate on your own site, so what your written voice looks like, and is that consistent with your brand, and of course how you communicate on email, which hopefully is an intrinsic part of what you do as a blogger. Then we'll look at ad sales, and if that's something you've chosen to be a part of your monetization strategy, it's really about ensuring you're taking your ad sales to the next level, and making sure that you're maximizing the return you're getting for your effort around ads. I find that bloggers tend to get happy with the small rates that might be on offer from some of the large aggregators out there, not knowing that there's quite a small step to really professionalize the way in which you sell ads, which can really drive substantially forward the income you're generating every month from ads. Same with affiliate as well. There's lots of great information around about affiliates, and it's really driving beyond the pixel and looking at all the ways in which you communicate, and are there greater opportunities to be pushing or putting forward affiliate products at the moment that's going to deliver you the best possible return. Finally, then again, touching on if products are a part of your roadmap, there are quite a lot of things to do, and it's worth running through some of them. So directly correlating with products are launching your product. So I'm a strong advocate of first practice launching a product before you do launch your own. You're the first time you drove a car, was it the best drive you've ever gone through, and through practice did you eventually become better at driving a car? The same thing goes with products. Do you really want your pride and joy, the thing you've potentially spent hours and hours building and perfecting, to be the first time you try and take to the market? So perhaps can you partner with an affiliate and do a launch as you would your own product, and really use that as a catalyst to understand what works and what doesn't with your audience. Then I've got pre-launch preparation. So launch days in particular can be quite harrowing, and ensuring you've prepared lots of checklists and everything you can prior to that, to make sure that really no stone goes unturned when it comes to launching a new product. And then finally, around launches, making sure that your launch day is clear, all your distractions at a minimum. Do your friends, do your family know that on launch day it's all about you, and you'll be focused on making the most of a very important first stage in your own product life cycle. Then I've got a PR, and this is again something that's, I guess, quite frustrating from a marketer's perspective, working closely with bloggers, is you're very, as a blogger, you're very connected and open and have great networks. But the problem is you're not really using it to your advantage, and having a good network of PR contacts can be quite powerful in terms of spreading much wider the voice you have around a product launch. And I find the biggest burden to having a great PR plan with bloggers is just a hesitation to ask. So it's about starting to build a PR list and asking who are the influencers in your niche, and connecting with them, and really having them ready to go as a big part of your product launch. And then finally there's advertising, which for some bloggers is a bit of a taboo word. I'll go back to that attraction stage where, just naturally by what you do in terms of offering great content attracts those eyeballs. So, why would I want to spend any money when I'm getting this for free? But the reality is if you can build an advertising model for your products that on its own right can deliver a profit, then it's a great way to add supplementary income to the products in which you have, which sits on top of whatever product value you might get from the eyeballs you bring in from your blog. Then if we take a slip back to what sits underneath product launches, then there's some interesting considerations you need to make as well. The first one, and I've blogged about this before on ProBlogger, it's about the dangers of discounts. And look, discounts can be a very, very good and very powerful thing, but done incorrectly, they can have a long-term effect to the perception of your products and even your overall blog. So it's important to understand that with discounts, they can be quite beneficial in terms of revenue generation for your blog, but they can actually be very detrimental as well. Then this is I guess a bit of a secret sauce to earning money on the web. I found that crafty campaigning, so running campaigns that aren't necessarily specifically about a shiny new product, but are more around a campaign that can be something like a Christmas sale, an end of financial year sale, or I've just had my third baby sale. These well-executed campaigns can actually be a much larger contributor to your revenue than the shiniest of new objects. And it's important to not forget that even if you don't have a brand new product this month or this week, that you can actually instantiate and create campaigns that can really increase the amount of money that your blog is earning. Then finally on products, it's understanding and never forgetting about the long tail as well. As bloggers, particularly when you're launching new products, you can very much get caught in the moment of the here and now and forget your products that you may have launched 6, 3, maybe 12 months ago, that with a little consideration about ensuring that long tail success with your products can on balance deliver you a significant amount more than what you might be able to put in in the first few weeks of your launch. Then finally, in terms of how you do things, I put a note in here about building your own team, and look, I'm sure some of you are probably laughing at me now, going, only when we get to the size of, say, Darren, can I really start thinking about building a support team? But I reckon that's a little bit short-sighted. I know, for example, that I helped Darren out through my friendship with him. It's never been a financial thing, and he's helped me out in a number of different ways as well. And I'm sure in your own network, you've got friends who have strengths that perhaps might be your weakness, and I find that the only barrier to getting the help you might need for your blog is really a lack of willingness to ask, and I'm sure you'd be surprised just how willing people are to help you help yourself to make your blog into something a lot more successful. So that's the mind map. So really the approach I take and what I walk through, whether it be in my own mind or step by step with bloggers as I help them try and make that transformation from a blog into a real business, and really enabling you to profit and live from what it is you love. I hope you have taken something away, maybe a couple of things to think about. And look, I'm sure I've perhaps created more questions than answers, and look, I am quite often hanging around the depth of ProBlogger, and I am out there on Twitter as well, so certainly feel free to reach out, and I'm more than happy to answer questions as they come up as best as I can. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll speak to you all next time.